On today's Question of Faith, what are you giving up for Lent? Hey everybody, I am Mike Hayes. I am the Director of Young Adult Ministry. This is Question of Faith.
And I'm Father Damian Ference, the Vicar for Evangelization.
And before we get into our Lenten stuff...
Yes?
It's National Marriage Week. Maria Wancata paid me $50 to make sure I said that. So happy National Marriage Week to my wife, first of all, because my couch isn't comfortable, so I'm going to make sure I say that. But today, February 7th, if you're listening at another time, starts National Marriage Week, and World Marriage Day is February 12th. So, it's an opportunity to focus on building a culture of life that begins with, the union of one man, one woman. And so the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops have a bunch of resources out there on for-year marriage, and so look that up. It's great.
Yeah, and if you don't follow our Marriage and Family Life Office on social media, we'll make sure to put that link in the show notes. I really like the reflections they've been putting out lately on the Instagrams.
Yeah, they've been hitting it hard. Yeah, it's been good.
It's very cool.
Maria's doing a great job, and as well as Terry, of course.
Also,
director. Yeah,
we should say it is February, which is Black History Month, although November is Black Catholic History Month. February is Black History Month. And if you're not aware, we do have Black Catholics Cleveland Instagram account that you ought to follow if you haven't followed it yet.
Yes.
They've been putting out some cool stuff the last few days too. So we'll also link that.
Yep, absolutely. Cool. Very nice. On to Lent, if we would.
Okay, so, we're almost there.
So I did a little survey of friends and said, "What was the best thing that you ever gave up for Lent? What was the worst thing that just didn't work out that you tried to give up for Lent?" And they had some interesting things to say. My favorite one was my friend Donna said, "I fasted one year from store-bought bread." She goes, "But here was the problem." She goes, "I made bread instead at home, but the bread was so good that we ate it all, and I had to make more bread."
Oh.
So she was like, "It didn't quite work out as much as I would have liked it to." The one that spoke to me most was about the worst one was things that impose a cost on my family never worked out. So I would say, any time commitment that I tried to make would take time away from my family. Like, I'm going to go home every day and I'm going to stop by the Adoration Chapel. He said, that's a good idea in theory. He goes, except my wife had to take care of the kids and do extra driving because I had to stop on my way home because I had to figure out another way to do this. He goes, so I moved it to the morning, And so I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. He goes, so this way it didn't impose a time limit on his family. What about you? What are some of the worst ones maybe that you tried?
I once tried to give up cheese for Lent.
Someone mentioned that. That's
really?
Funny. Yeah, they said it was hard, but
well, it was when I was a parish priest, and it made it very difficult for the cook, and so that actually didn't last. It wasn't good because she cooked with a lot of cheese, and it wasn't an overabundant amount, but that was a common ingredient, so it wasn't helpful for the household and my brother priest in the rectory. I used to give up TV, and I would wrap my television set in a purple cloth and put my icon of Jesus in front of it. But I don't watch a lot of TV anymore. If anything, I watch videos on YouTube. But I've had good Lents and good experiences with fasting, and others that haven't been as good. So I'm hoping this year is a good experience with the fasting.
Same. Yeah.
And I know it's also prayer and almsgiving too. But
right.
I think today we're talking about the fasting portion of it.
Maybe mostly, yeah. With some, it's funny you mentioned TV. That's what I'm going to try to do this year, is I'm going to give up crap TV.
Oh,
and
what defines that?
Yeah, it's hard to define, but you know it when you see it. It's for my wife and I, a lot of times we'll just put the television on.
Oh, I see.
Right? And sometimes maybe even to avoid a conversation, right?
Yeah.
But I find that, like, when we watch something that's, like, really good, like, we're really into it and everything else. But when we watch, like, one of these home improvement shows or something, which we watch way too many of, I'm kind of like, do we really need to watch this?
Yeah.
Couldn't we have spent our time better? And so I'm just going to try to think about that intentionally. I'm like, well, what's really on this TV? And do we need to watch it right now? Or can we go and do something else? Can we go and exercise? Could we go and read a book? Could we go for a walk? We do whatever.
That's true of music and art and television. Like, you want to spend your time intentionally looking and listening to things that are actually going to make you a better man, better woman, better Christian, not just to numb your brain, So that's cool.
Yeah,
that's very cool.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think that's what's at least going to be one of mine. I'm going to take a page. I'm going to try to do a bunch of things. So I'm going to take a page from our buddy Maria Wincata. I'm going to try to fast from the elevator, but I think I'm going to do this in stages. And it's okay if I have to go one floor, like our floor where we are right now on the 6th floor. The floor our offices are on the 5th floor. It's really only one flight.
Come on.
How many times do I actually take the elevator? All the time.
No, you've walked down with us a few times, especially if it's me and Maria.
If you guys walk down, I walk down with you, so you've inspired me, so congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
And but if I'm on my own, I sure as heck will push that elevator button. So I'm going to try to at least start with one flight and then work my way up to 2 and then work my way up to 3. Like maybe when I'm coming in the morning, I'll go up to the 2nd floor and then just take the elevator from there. Because my knee, my hip isn't what it used to be, so I have to be careful. But I think I can make it to 5. Ironically, I live in an apartment building. I'm also on the 5th floor, so I can kind of balance this out on both ends there. And
you could meditate on the 5 wounds of Christ as you walk the 5 flights of stairs.
Very nice. I'm going to remember that.
There you go.
That's good.
I have a friend who's a physical therapist. Actually, she listens to the show regularly down in Abingdon, Virginia. Good Catholic woman, wife, mom, an excellent athlete, and her company is called Inertia, which, objects in motion stay in motion. So she'll say it's very important to keep moving.
Yes.
Always keep moving. So, the more you move, the better you are. And when you stop moving, then your body starts to break down. Yes. So more movement, the better.
Yes, an object at rest tends to remain at rest also.
That's it. Yeah, those are the 2 principles. Yeah. I never even took physics, and I know that.
That's great.
I know Aristotelian physics, though, although no one cares about that anymore. Heat goes up, cold goes down,
Interesting, yeah. What about you? What are you thinking about taking
I've got... it's good to, first of all, I want to say it's good that we're thinking about these things in advance because you want to be prepared for Lent. So when it comes, you're like, I know what I'm doing. I have a plan. So I've done one of these before, and the other one I'm adding because of a recent affinity to the thing itself. And that is, I'm going to give up alcohol for Lent, which I've tended to do in recent years. I think it's good for me. I think it's good even to keep in mind those, sometimes priests can struggle with alcohol, so keeping brother priests in mind. And then the other one is chocolate, dark chocolate specifically. I have found myself loving dark chocolate. The older I get, I think the more I like bitter, strong tastes. Like when I was young, I didn't like dark chocolate. My godmother always ate them. Like, why would you like dark chocolate? Milk chocolate. But now I don't even want milk chocolate. I only want dark chocolate. So I think it'd be something to refrain from so that when Easter comes, I can truly savor the sweetness of the resurrection in dark chocolate, especially like dark chocolate covered pretzels, dark chocolate covered almonds, dark chocolate covered coffee beans. And then like maybe a Manhattan on after the Easter Vigil. Drink a Manhattan. But I think no booze, which includes wine and beer, and no dark chocolate for Lent. I think that's what the Lord's calling me to do.
Nice. I try to do a food of some sort every year as well. And so I used to have, and I think I've kind of kicked this already, so this won't be too much of a challenge, but it's so much easier for me to walk into Dunkin' Donuts, which is right next to our office, which is really dangerous.
In our building.
Exactly. I mean, I don't even have to walk outside. I can walk through the building and get there. And I would just grab a breakfast sandwich. So I've been making a frittata already every morning, so I'm sort of prepping for this in advance. And I think I'm just going to try to keep that up so I don't even walk in there. The other thing that I eat, that I do a lot is, booze would not be hard for me to give up. I'm not a big drinker. Every once in a while I'm fine. My dad was the same way. If beer was in the house, he drank it. If it wasn't, he didn't. It was not a big deal to him. And I'm the same way. But diet soda certainly is something that kind of keeps me going, and so I'm trying to find new ways to stay awake. Number one, get more sleep might be the first way to do that.
Do you drink coffee? I've never even noticed.
Not at all.
So you're like my brother. My brother loves diet soda or Diet Mountain Dew, and that's where he gets his caffeine. To me, there's nothing attractive about that. So that would be really easy to give up. If I had to give up coffee, that could be difficult. But I didn't feel like the Lord called me to give up coffee this Lent. I think three that would be a lot.
It's funny. I never drank coffee in my life. I don't know why. I just never did. It was not. My dad drank coffee, but not to an extent. Like he didn't have to have it every morning or anything. So it just wasn't something. We're Irish too, so tea was much bigger.
Yeah,
was much bigger than coffee.
Like Kayla Gill.
Yeah, exactly right. But when I went to El Salvador. Coffee is a staple there.
Sure.
It's rude not to drink it,
right?
And so I was like, I guess I got to drink this.
Yeah, they're picking the coffee beans right out in the field next to you. Yeah,
exactly. So. I mean, I don't even like going to like a Starbucks or anything. So I don't even like the smell of coffee, right? Yeah, I know people love it. I'm so weird.
Yeah, that is weird.
And but I remember I said, well, I guess I have to drink this. And one of my students put her hand on my shoulder and she goes, Mike, your life is about to get so much better. And I have to say, I did like it in El Salvador, and then I came back here and tried coffee at a couple of different places. I was like, what is this swill that you were giving me? This is not what I had in El Salvador.
Well, I loved the smell of coffee as a kid. I never drank it, though. My dad drank it, and I liked the smell, but I think I tried it and thought, this tastes terrible. And like you, I was a tea drinker until I think I was 32 or 33. And I went on vacation with my good buddy Rich McCarthy and his family. We were in Delaware, and his wife is first-generation Italian, and there's always cappuccino, and there's always cafe americano. They had no tea. It was only coffee. And I said, well, I got to have something hot in the morning with caffeine, so I'll have this. And maybe it's because my dad drank like a low-grade coffee, and also he let it sit around for a couple of days and just reheated it in the microwave. Whatever. I had coffee when I was 32, and I thought, my life has changed, and I really do like it, and it's good. And I probably have 2 or 3 cups a day.
Wow, really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I never even noticed.
First thing when I wake up in the morning, go down, get a cup of coffee, and then I sit in my prayer chair, got my icon before me, and I start my day in prayer with a little bit of coffee, talk to the Lord, listen to him. And then usually one when I come in here, like right around now, midday, and then one after lunch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then if I have it after that, then I'm up all night. So tea after 4.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I don't notice because you have that green sort of travel mug.
Gift, yeah.
And so I don't notice what's in there. It could be anything. It could be vodka in there.
It's a Manhattan, yeah. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. No, it's not a Manhattan. It's just coffee.
You'll be glad to know this thing that I want to do is sort of like something extra for one. I want to read more. I don't read enough. And so I've been trying to read like a chapter or something before I go to sleep at night, which has actually improved my sleep also.
I'll tell you, one of the things I missed most in my first year back from Rome was reading, and I didn't think I had the time to do it. And what I found was I wasn't making the time to do it, and it actually slows me down, relaxes me, and it's just a really good habit. And it's so different than just reading tweets or reading. I'm holding my phone up to show Mike. I know you can't see, or little Instagram captions. But actually having a book, sitting in a chair, putting the phone down, and reading is it's a great experience. And it's good for the soul, and it does help you sleep because it calms you, and you don't have that blue light shining in your face.
Yeah.
So that's a great thing to do.
Yeah, and and I do use a Kindle, so I usually try to put it on like the low light version, so I don't really get all the blue light all the time. But so I am going to try to do that. But I did read an actual book recently. David Hallberstam wrote a book called Firehouse, which was about the firefighters from 9/11. So that's something special for me. From home, and I really enjoyed it. And it was not a long book. I said, let me try to read not a long book to start, and then I think I'll gain some kind of, okay, I read a book. Okay, now let's try to read another one. So I made a little list of books. You'll be happy to know one of the things I thought I could read and should read, and I've never read, are Flannery O'Connor's short stories.
Oh.
And so I said, Father D is going to be happy to hear this.
Yeah, that's good. I'm interested to see what you think because... Yeah. They can be harsh, but it's grace at work, and it's for the sake of healing. Ultimately, she never writes violence for violence' sake.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I know enough, about the background, to be like, okay, I better prepare myself for some of this. But in general, I think I'm going to enjoy it. But my friend Bob Wicks wrote a book called Night Call. He was here in the Diocese recently with our lay ecclesial ministry folks. Good guy, and. I interviewed him recently for my 5 Questions show, and he wrote a book called Night Call, which is about like a series of little vignettes.
Yes, he gave it to us last year.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, it's good. So I said, okay, so those are 2 things that are short enough that I think I'll gain some confidence, and maybe I'll try some more challenging stuff as we go. I also have to read for class, so it's that's required stuff, but it's not the same kind of reading. You know what I mean? When you're reading for class, it's more textbooky type of stuff. It's not like reading a novel or a short story or something like that I could kind of really throw myself into and let my imagination run wild.
Yeah, I'm not back to my Rome level of reading, but I'm back to reading a lot again, and I really enjoy it. The book I'm currently reading, I found thanks to Cat Power. Now, Cat Power is a band. Well, it's her moniker. Her real name is Shawn Marshall, and I've been following her for a while. She posted a clip of Flea, the bass player from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, who just landed in Australia for a tour, and he's sitting there like crisscross applesauce in a pair of orange pants on his hotel bed, and he's showing a book. It's a new interview from a rock star named Nick Cave. Nick Cave plays in a band called the Bad Seeds, and he gives like a 2-minute book review, and he does drop one cuss word in there, so if you watch it, just know that that's coming. But everything else is so good, and he's so convicted by this biography of a guy who had lost his son and then came back. He's not full on board with his Catholic faith, but boy, he's talking about some of the most important things. And I find biographies fascinating, and it's a fun read. I actually sent the clip to Dr. Andy Starrin, who you've studied with. He's teaching a course on Augustine right now, and I had a dinner with him recently at the Sem. We were talking about Augustine, so I sent him this, and I ran into him at breakfast this morning at the seminary, and he said, "Isn't it amazing the power that biography has on people when they hear a witness or a testimony?" And here's Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers holding this book. I think Sean, I forget the interviewer name. We'll figure it out in the post, the show notes. But yeah, I love reading, and what you just said is true. And we haven't said this enough. It's actually good for the soul. Yeah. It's feeding your intellect. You don't want to read trash. You want to read good books.
Yeah, biography is probably my favorite genre. Actually, I just like reading books about people, right? Who are fascinating. I'm like back in my sports days, I couldn't wait for a player to write a book, usually with somebody, right?
Right.
But I always said, this is probably going to be fascinating. So I've read a lot of those.
You've read Springsteen's Born to Run.
I have, yeah, that's great. Yeah. And then I remember seeing the Broadway show. I was like, oh, this is pretty much the book. But
with music.
But with music, which is great. His Howard Stern's interview with him was also very good. Howard Stern's a great, say what you want about Howard Stern, but he's a great interviewer.
He's a good interviewer.
He knows
David Letterman's a great interviewer.
Yeah.
They ask the right questions.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
All right. And then, a couple of notes from friends. So BustedHalo has a Fast Pray Give calendar every year. So they give you every day something to fast from, something to give to, something to pray for.
Cool.
So my friend Elaine had said that she really liked doing that, a number of years ago, so she might go back to that. The best one I think I ever did, and I was really faithful to it, and it was really hard, was I gave away something every day for 40 days. Oh. I've done that in partial now. Like every once in a while I said, what's something really hard?
A material thing? Or you can't just give away love or forgiveness?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It had to be something hard. And my friend Phil did this in Texas, and he inspired me to do it. And he gave away his favorite pair of cowboy boots. And I was just like, wow, that was really hard for him to give away, And so I've given away books that have been special to me, like little trinkets that people have given me. And I tell them, look, someone important gave this to me, and now I'm giving it to you, kind of thing. I had a New York Rangers jersey. It was like a real one that someone had gifted me, and one of my students had really inspired me to kind of go back to the gym and lose some weight, and I had lost a bunch of weight, and so had he. And I gave him the jersey. And
cool.
And his thing was, wow, he goes, this is a pretty big jersey. I don't think it'll fit either one of us anymore. And I said, you can frame it. And he goes, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So it's great. But those were, things that are hard to give away. And then I had to tell them why it was hard to give away. And we put it all on video. And then I just asked them, what are you doing for Lent? And then they would talk about it. And so that was probably the best one that I did and the most creative one that I did. My friend Kevin had said he gave up sarcasm one year. And he said it would have been easier to give up chocolate. I was like, yep. Same for me.
I remember when I learned that the sarcasm literally means from the Greek the tearing of flesh, and I thought, oh, man, better take it easy.
Yeah. We'll keep that in mind. So anyway, so that's Lent for us. Hopefully, we'll put together some of the things that we're doing in the show notes, and then some of the resources that we gave you as well for Lent, as well as for Marriage Week here, National Marriage Week. And our church this week, we're getting ready for 9 nights.
Correct.
Start on March 17th.
Correct.
Yes.
St. Patty's Day.
St. Patrick's Day.
And it'll run 9 days.
Speaking of St. Patrick, that's where we're going to go today. St. Patrick's in Thompson. I've never been there, so what's going on there?
I was there once. Father Scott Goodfellow was just installed as the new pastor maybe a month ago. He's also the pastor of St. Mary's in Chardon.
Right.
It's one of the older churches in the diocese, and it's a drive.
I was going to say, it's way out, right?
Yeah, it's on the eastern border of our diocese. You probably don't have to drive too far to get into Youngstown, but really cool community out there. And, we like to do 9 nights at parishes maybe people haven't been to, and also parishes where there's a new pastor. So that parish has both of those things going on. So maybe one of the 9 nights, take a drive out to Thompson and check out the church. It's a beautiful place. The sanctuary is really gorgeous. So
yeah, a couple other things that are coming up on April 1st, which is the day before Palm Sunday, also April Fool's Day, obviously. We're in Lakewood. We're going to do a 4-church pilgrimage. So that's St. Luke's Transfiguration, St. Clement, and St. James are the 4, and then we'll go back to St. Luke's for lunch. So we'll do a little loop around Lakewood. And so it's similar to what we did last year with the 7-church walk, which was a little long and, not necessarily a little far, but it took us a while.
It was great though.
I'm not apologizing. It was absolutely great. I'm not even apologizing either. I'm saying we listened to what people said, and they said, well, maybe we do 4 next year.
And there's so many young adults living in Lakewood that this is a great way to work with those who are in the faith and maybe get some people interested who aren't. Like, hey, where are you going? We're going to this church. Oh, I've never been in there. Come on in,
Yeah. So mark your calendars, April 1. And then on Holy Thursday night, we're now talking to pastors around the diocese about keeping the churches open. So we've marked 21 churches, right? 7 by 3. I just
put a letter to all 21 pastors in the mail yesterday asking them if they'd keep their parishes open till 11 p.m. that night. So hopefully they all get back and say, of course we will. And then we'll be posting the names of those parishes.
We'll post those ones. But we're going to hopefully invite people to try to visit 7 churches on Holy Thursday evening.
Yeah.
And you could drive to those. We're not expecting you to walk late at night to those places.
However, I was thinking about it. If you started in Tremont, you could walk. You could go John Canchis, Wendelin, Emmerich, St. Pat's, St. Malachy's, and then go walk to the cathedral in St. Peter's. And then you could if you wanted to walk, you could do it. But you'd probably want to take your scooter or your skateboard or your car.
Yeah. I'd go the other way. I'd start at St. Peter's to the cathedral and go back around the other way.
Well,
Yeah.
That's
because it's on my way home. That's the only reason I'm saying that. In our readings for this week, the 6th Sunday in Ordinary Time, hey, let's take a look at Sirach on the first reading today. I like this little couplet. Before man are life and death, good and evil. Whichever he chooses shall be given him. Yeah.
Well, a lot of life does come down to what it is that you choose, and the Lord has great respect and reverence for our free will. It's something he will not take away from us. But at the end of the day, you get what you choose. Yep. So you choose life, you get life. You choose death, you get death.
Yep. Easy to choose one or the other, but you got to go with the consequences. Good, the good and the two good and evil choices are often the easy choices. I always think it's the choice between two goods that I think is a lot harder for folks to make.
Yeah, and sometimes when the evil appears good because maybe it brings some pleasure, which is a good but momentary, and then to make a distinction between apparent goods and genuine goods, what's really good for you, not just eating the chocolate, but man, your health in the long term, that's harder. Yeah
Not just watching crap TV, but good TV.
Correct.
Right? There we go. Back to Lent. See, it all comes full circle on the show.
Man, you're good.
So, thanks for joining us. I'm Mike Hayes.
I'm Father Damian Ferrance.
And this has been Question of Faith. We'll see you all again next time.